Hello guys, good evening to all. How are you guys? Hello everyone. Hello, how are you all? Okay, Mayank is basically asking for multiple kind of errors. So just see Mayank, like syntax error we basically used to get, indentation error we used to get, and after that we basically used to get this in list out of range. So multiple error are basically there. And in data science, if you are working with deep learning or natural language processing, so code out of memory is a very basic one that you basically used to get. And while you are training a model, if the size is getting mismatched by the predicted value, or let's just say the x and y, so at that time you will be going to get the error that size is basically mismatched. So these are like some common error that we usually used to get. Okay, so guys, what we'll be going to do today is we'll be going to work on a project today, a mini project. I'll be going to show you a good project, and we'll be going to work on this thing. Mayank Sharma, ID is like you can use anything. Like you can go with Sublime also. You can go with VS Code also. But most of the time, if you'll be going to work in industry, you have to work with terminal only. All the code that you are writing, you have to work with terminal. But yes, if you want to go in data science or Python development, at that time you can go with VS Code, because the interface of VS Code is really good, and there are like multiple extensions also in the VS Code, so you can use that one. But if I just talk about my company, so I always used to prefer Sublime. Okay, all right. So, all right, let us just start today's session. So, what we'll be going to do right now, we have this CSV, that is stamp.csv. So, we'll be going to work on this kind of a data set. Let's just read it first of all, and let's just see what kind of a data set do we have in it. So this is basically our data set for now, guys. Let me just explain you what are these data sets. So let me just add in the text over here. Just give me 1 second. I basically have to add a space here, so you guys will be easily able to understand it. Okay. So now you'll be able to see we have this much of columns, like station date, present T max, present T min. So all of these things is basically mentioned over here. So if I just talk about what is this present T max, that is the maximum air temperature between 0 and 21 hour. All right. So these are the columns that I have given over here, like the information of the columns. So what you guys basically can do is, like after this session, I'll be going to share this link with all of you. So you guys can download this one, or you can guys can basically, uh, if you want to basically learn machine learning, right? So what you can basically do is just start with some basic this thing. Just start with some, I can basically say learning about following some kind of a vlogs, and you can even follow this Let's Upgrade basically classes. In one of the session we have explained each and every model also. So data set, I'll be just going to give the data set also, don't worry about it. Data set I'll be even going to give to all of you. Okay. Is my screen visible, guys? I am audible. Everything is okay. Or you guys are like uh, facing some kind of a problem? Everything is okay. Can I get a quick confirmation? Okay, all right. Okay, so this is the data set. Data set I'll be even going to give you. All right. So we'll be going to work on this thing. So let's just do df.head. So we'll be easily able to get the head part of it. So this is basically my data set. So if I basically have to look how many rows do I basically have and columns. So I basically have 7,752 this thing and 25 columns I basically have. So the first thing that we'll be going to do is we'll be going to drop duplicates. So for that thing, we'll be going to do drop duplicates. Same thing that we have seen. Sorry. So right now we have after dropping 7752 and previously it was also 7752. That means there is no duplicates. What is the next thing that you have to do is you have to check the nan values. So df dot is na dot sum. Same thing that we have seen, we are applying it over here. Now just see, guys, these are basically your nan values which we have over here. Okay, so if you want, you guys like can fill the mean values over here. Otherwise what you can do, you can just drop the nan values over here. That is like totally up to you what you guys basically want to do. Either you will be going to fill it. Now tell me one thing, guys, what are the ways that we can fill the missing values? What are the different ways that we can fill the missing values? With the mean, median, mode, and f fill and b fill is basically there, right? Yes, is from the is and a we will be going to check it. This is a temperature data set. What we have to do, this is an industry data set, and what we have to do over here is that we basically have to predict this value. Just give me 1 second. Okay, we basically have to predict these two things, that what will be the next uh, temperature maximum and next temperature minimum. Two things we basically have to predict over here. So this is what we are doing. This is the industry data set. This is data science and ML project both. What is machine learning? That is also inside data science, right? All right. So these are the like missing values. But before that, just tell me one thing, guys. Have you ever heard of feature engineering? Feature engineering is basically what? What algorithm? Obviously it is a regression problem, so we'll be going to use regression algorithms only, because this is the predictive model that we'll be going to do, a regression one. Okay, now, so what we'll be going to do, feature engineering is basically what, let us just say, there's a disadvantage with machine learning. If your machine learning model, okay sir, data science and python developer and ml, which tool on working in industry, like we are working on these libraries only. What kind of a tool you are talking about? So what feature engineering is, guys, there is a disadvantage with machine learning. That is, if you are doing a training on machine learning model and if it is not giving you the result, that means you have to increase the features. What do I mean by feature? These columns that you will be able to see over here, these are nothing but these are your features only. Okay, so we have to increase these features. So that is basically what feature engineering is. All right, I hope you understood. Now what else we can do, we can basically do, let's just skip this part, and we can do df dot describe. So just see over here, with respect to the numerical values, you will be able to get a little bit statistical information, that what is the mean value, what is the average value, all right, what is your median value, what is the max value that you basically have. So these kind of information you will be going to get. All right, now what feature engineering we will be going to do, let us just say I basically have, let me just call my data set dot 3. Okay, so do we have this date? If I'll be just going to do one thing, df dot info. So right now the date is in object, but I have told you that there is a particular format of date in Python, that is date time. PCA is for, you will be just going to compress it. I'm talking about increasing it. Okay, so what we'll be going to do, first we'll be going to do a little bit feature engineering over here. Let us just say I have this code. Okay, quickly we have to cover this thing because we have 1 hour only. Let's just store it in data. So for converting it right now, just see the date format is object. But if I'll be just going to run it, we just have to do pd.toDateTime. And when I'll be going to do data.info, now just see, it is in date time. Okay, so this thing we have to basically do over here. Now we'll be going to do feature engineering. For now we'll be going to increase the column. How? We'll be going to add from this date, the date that we have for now over here, that is 36 and year. So we can extract date, month and year over here. How we'll be going to do it? Now I'll be going to create a new column that is going to be year. So for getting the year, what we have to do, once you have to convert it into date time format, and after that you will be simply going to do data, this thing. You just have to do dt.year, dt.month and dt.day and just execute it. Now if I just show you in the last column, like what was the day and year, just see 2013 6 month 30 date. Now if I'll be just do this thing, so year 2013, day is this one, month is 6, day is 30. All right, Easy? What do you think, guys, now? So this is, we have basically did feature engineering. We have basically added new columns. Everybody clear till now? Do you have any kind of a confusion? Just give me quick confirmation, guys. Now, once we got from this date, once we got all of these feature, that is day, month, year, month, and this thing. So there is no need for the date column. So we'll be simply going to drop this one. How? Data dot drop date. This is your column name, and let us just say axis is equal to 1. That means I want to drop this whole column. If I'll be going to mention 0, that means I want to drop one row. Now after dropping it, just see. After like station, we have present tmax, and over a station we was having date, then present tmax. So we have successfully dropped it. That is the inbuilt function with respect to pandas. First you have to convert it into datetime format, and then you can use dt.day, dt.year, dt.month. You can even extract minutes, second, and hours if it is present. These three columns we have added, just see. Year is there, month is there, and day is there. Okay. Like this, you add columns in pandas. Just see, here we have added year, month, and day. Okay, year, month, and day. All right. Clear till now, each and everyone? The doubts that you guys was having? Everything is clear now? Okay. So let us just do one thing now. Let us just do a little bit analysis also. So we have three type of analysis. First one is univariate analysis. That means only one single column analysis will be going to do. So this is basically my columns, object type of column that I'll be basically going to use for doing the analysis, and I'll be simply going to use a loop for predicting, for doing the analysis of all of these things. So yesterday only I have basically explained you about all of these things, that what are basically your these, all right, what are basically your this loop, this subplot, and all. And for this thing we'll be going to import some libraries. So in the initial stage only I'll be going to import all of these libraries. So I'll be going to explain you what these libraries are. And after that we'll be simply going to run this one. So what we are doing, initially we have set a figure size, and we are iterating through all of these columns that is present in the data set. And I'm basically doing count plot over here. Feature engineering, I told you sometimes what happen, if you are doing a training of machine learning model, it will not going to give you result. And if it is not going to give you result, you again have to go backward. You have to see all the code from the very starting, and you have to do feature engineering. Cool. Notes you will get, don't worry. So let us just do one thing. Let us just draw this one year. So just see this thing. From the year column, what you are able to understand. Can I say each and every year have the same count? But let us just say from which month? Which month is like more high, the data set that we have. So we have more data of 7 and 8 month. All right. And if I just talk about 6 months, there is very less data. That means right now client is basically asking us to predict the data that is in, like, I can basically say June, July, and August, because the heat is at the peak at that time. So we have this data set only. Okay. X ticks and Y ticks. No, X ticks and X labels both are different. Now, so this is basically your univariate analysis that we have did. Now, similarly, what we'll be going to do, we'll be going to do bivariate analysis over here. Now, what is this? Your bivariate analysis is basically, let me just show you. Like, okay, just do one thing first of all. Let us just do analysis with SNS dot dist plot with numerical value also. That is going to be data. Now see, this is like a graph that you will be going to get. So can I say present T max? The maximum temperature will going to lie over here. Just see, you can consider from like 23 to 32. Okay, this value you can consider basically over here, right? And after that, what we'll be going to do, a little bit of this thing you can even do bivariate analysis that I have basically shown you in the yesterday session. So these things you can basically do over here now. So this is basically going to be SNS dot strip plot. X, I'll be just going to consider my X as year, data, year, and Y, I'll be just going to consider, let us just say what I basically want on the Y. Let me just see this thing. Okay. Present T max. That means the present temperature that we have over here, we will be just going to use that one. Now just see this thing. Now, by looking at this diagram, what do you think, guys? And for which year we have the maximum data set? Like in which year the temperature was like, do you think the maximum? This is like in the y-axis we have temperature, in the x-axis we have year. Obviously 2016, it has basically the maximum temperature in the industry. Okay, this is basically the one thing that we basically have over here. Now after that, what we can basically do is we can even use one more thing that is going to be, or this one, little bit more analysis we'll be going to do. So what is this thing? This is a line plot. So this is basically showing you this one is showing you next T max, and next this was the like maximum temperature, and this is the minimum temperature. That this was the flow with respect to the years. So over here in the 2016, you can analyze that this was the maximum temperature. And where was the minimum temperature? I can basically say in 2014, it was like somewhere around 22. Got it, guys? This is the analysis that we was like able to make. Now, one thing, guys. If I just simply print the data set, okay, So we, if I'll be just going to look into the data set, let us just say data dot select d types, same code that I have shown you. So these are basically your object type, right? So yeah, I can basically say each and every data is in the this thing float. So there is no object column. So that's like good for us because we don't have to convert it into numerical values. All right. Everybody's clear till now? Can I get a quick confirmation, guys? Quick confirmation, please. Yes, no in the chat. And if you have any kind of a doubt, just simply ask me. Now we'll be going to do pre-processing. What kind of a pre-processing? Over here I have shown you. Just see. This much of nan values we have over here. So we have to fill it also, right? And we have to divide our data set into X and Y for the model. So for this, we'll be going to use this code. So what we are doing over here, this is just a simple function that I have basically written over here. If you want, you can just consider this line of code also. Just see this code. And after that, I have just put it in a function. There is like nothing new that I have did. So just see. First, we have a data frame and we are just copying it. And over here, I am mentioning if for the column in present tmax, this is like a columns. If one by one, it will be going to iterate. And if the column is in from these columns, and if there is a missing values, we'll be going to fill the missing values by it mean. And if the data is in like year, month, day, or station, okay. So we'll be going to fill it by mode. So one thing we'll be going to do, just write it in a function. Okay, let us just say function name it pre-processing df, do this thing and return x comma y. That means y, what we are doing in the x, we are dropping, these are two values that we have to predict, and the y, these are the two values that we have to predict, right? So in the x, we have dropped these two values. So out of 25 columns, we have dropped two columns. So rest of the columns will be in x and only these two columns will be in y. So you just have to call this function now. Let us just say data is equal to pre-processing and data you have to pass. In this function, what you have to pass? Pre-processing, and let us just click it. And now let us just, sorry. Just see one thing. Right now we are returning two things. So in the initial stage, we have to mention that only, x comma y. Now you have to call, okay, tuple object has no attribute copy. Okay, we have like run it. That's why it is basically showing us. So we just have to run the CSV again. Let us just say over here, I'll be going to run it. Data is equal to td dot read CSV. Okay, year is basically not there. Okay, feature engineering that we have did, right? This one. Okay, sorry. First we have to run this one, and this one. Now we have to run this one. Now just see. If I'll be going to call the x, this is how it will going to look like. Okay, all the columns you'll be able to see till year, month, and day, but you will be not able to see this next t max that we have to predict and next t minimum, that is temperature maximum, temperature minimum. But in the y, we have these two columns. Just see, Guru Prasad, just see one thing. there are multiple algorithms. We'll be going to use all the possible algorithms that we can use in regression and classification. Only two terms are there. Regression is basically what? When you have to predict continuous value. Classification is basically what? When you have to predict two things, that whether a student will going to fail the exam or whether the student will going to pass the exam. So 0 or 1, like this we label F. So right now we are focusing on regression only. So over here you will be able to see values are continuous. So we'll be going to predict this one. Any kind of a confusion till now, guys? Object, difference between object and float is, just see, if I have a data set like this, A comma B comma C, so this is your object type, and float is basically what? 1.0 comma 2.3 comma 3.3, like this. So this is your float and this is your object. This is nothing but a data types. All right, so this is what we have did till now. Now what we'll be going to do, there is one thing also that you should understand about, that is known as correlation. Can anyone tell me what correlation is? Just see, guys, in machine learning there is one thing, that if you are working with a data set, so you have to be sure one thing, that one column is not highly correlated with the other column. What is the meaning of that? This is just a diagram that we have. So for this, what we have did, x dot CORR, that is just we are finding a correlation. And this map, this diagram we have generated using this diagram, that is SNS dot heat map. Okay, now if I just show you, just see, right now these two values have 0.79, 0.79. And if I just if I just look what column is it, so this is LDA PS CC3 and LDA PS CC4. So these columns are having a correlation of 0.79. Now what is correlation? Okay, what is basically a correlation? Let me show you. Okay, okay, so this is correlation. That means if, let us just say years, this is like something GDP per capita, like in 2013 dollars something is basically there. So if this y-axis is increasing, the x-axis is also increasing. Similarly, you can consider with a petrol and year, this thing. Year, as the year are basically increasing, the petrol price is also increasing. Okay. In pandas, we have object, we don't have a string. Otherwise, it is a string only. Okay. Lakshmi Singh. So this is basically a correlation. Now let us just say in the correlation there is a limit. Let us just say if some column are having, instead of 0.79, if we was having 99 or 89, that means these two columns are highly correlated and we have to drop any one column out of it. All right, this is what we have to do. All right, guys. Now what we will be going to do for now, we have our x and we have our y. Have now what we'll be going to do. Okay, I forgot to drop this date one now. Really sorry, I have to run it again now. Now I have to run it again. Just 1 second. Now we have this x and y. Now just tell me one thing, guys. Have you ever heard about feature scaling or normalization or just scaling? Okay, so what is basically that? If we over here we'll be going to use multiple machine learning algorithms. So some algorithms have basically a limitation. Let us just say if this is the value, that is 0 and 90, right? So we have to do feature scaling over here. What is basically that? If we have 100 comma 99 comma 98 comma this thing, so we'll be going to pick the maximum number that we have and we'll be going to divide it with all of these things. Okay, how we'll be going to do it? Just see, 99 divided by 100, you'll be going to get 0.99. 100 I will divide by 100, so you will get 1. So this is what we are scaling down the values of number. This is known as feature scaling. All right, cool guys. Now, so we have this code for feature scaling. We use standard scaler that we have just imported from here. From sklearn library, that same that we have basically used for the regression, we have imported standard scaler from there. All right. So we are using a standard scaler for now, and we are just passing our x column over here. Okay. We are just doing, first we call standard scaler in a variable scaler, and we are just doing scalar dot fit transform and this thing. Now if I just simply run it, and if I simply just show you the output, so just see this thing over here. If I just consider this LDAPS RH max, and if I just show you the same one, so just see, so we have scaled down the values over here. All right, clear till now guys? I just told you for scaling down the values. I have just explained you. Okay, let me just show you this thing also with the example. Normalization. तोड़ दिया वाईफाई तोड़ा वाईफाई तोड़ा just 1 second वाईफाई तोड़ दिया just see 1 second guys. Data example, let me just pick, if there is something easy one, so we'll be going to pick up that one. Yeah, you can consider this one. Just see, this is your age and salary. So this was the salary previously, and we have normalized it over here. Like a perfect example I'm not able to get over here, but this is what scaling is, that we scale down the values, so your model will be able to understand. No, Lakshvinder Singh, standard scaler and normalizer is basically not same. Standard scaler is something different. Normalization is different. Normalization basically simply picks up the value that is maximum and minimum, and it basically used to divide it. But standard scaler we use for a purpose. Let us just say if there are some outlier in your data set, so at that time we use standard scaler for removing the outliers. All right. Now, after that, what we'll be going to do, we'll be simply going to use train test split. train test split, we have again imported from here. Just see, from sklearn.model selection, import train test split. What this will going to do? Try to understand. Whenever you are training, let us just, okay, one example I'll be going to give you over here. All right, let us just say if today you are preparing, you have 5 units, you are preparing for a test and you have 5 units that you basically have to cover: unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, unit 4, and unit 5. All right, and you have gone through all the units. Okay, now if I have to like test you that whether you have prepared it correctly or not, so what I'll be going to do, I'll be simply going to pick random question from any of the unit, and I'll be simply going to ask you, okay, tell me what will be the answer of this one. Okay, so if you'll be able to answer it, let us just say out of 10 you have answered 7 questions, that means you have prepared really well. But if you was not able to answer it, that means you haven't learned anything. So what we are doing over here, similarly, we have train test split. So we are dividing it, our x new, that is like x1, and y, that is your, this is your dependent, this is your independent one, this is your dependent column, and we are dividing 30% of the data for the test. Now what is this thing? We have x train. So if I just show you x train, over here I'm basically saying that this is the data set that model have to learn. Okay, and y train that we have, with respect to this data set, this should be the values that model have to generate. So model have to recognize all of these values, and if it basically have to predict this one. So that is your x train and y train. And similarly, what I'll be going to do after doing the training, I'll be going to give this data set, that is x text, to my model, and I will ask my model to generate the result. Let us just say my model has generated some result. Then after generating the result, I'll be going to compare it with this data set. So this data set model will not be aware about. Random state you can mention anything. Random state basically means we are shuffling it. Just see, right now we have over here 7141 index, over here we have 3518 index. So it is not like that sequentially we are taking it. Just consider this one. Over here we have index sequentially, that is your data 0 1 2 3 4, then this thing. But over here we are randomly picking the data for the training and testing purpose. All right, clear till now? Now what we'll be going to do, guys, now we'll be simply going to train the models. So these are the models that we'll be going to use. These are just the name of this thing model. So let us just say ETR, that is your extra T regressor. Let me just explain in like ETR like this. This is just an algorithm name. So what we'll be going to do now, etr.fit xtrain, ytrain. Again, xtrain is what? Xtrain is the like value, the independent variable. It has to learn this pattern and it has to predict this one. So let us just do this thing. So data set is big, that's why it took little bit of time. Now what we'll be going to do, etr.predict x test. Alright, so these are the values that it has predicted. So what I'll be going to do over here, I'll be going to store it in a data frame. Let's just say y test I basically have. So I'll be going to store it. Just 1 second. Okay, x test is basically there. Now I have y test. So just see, my actual value was 28.3 for the T max and minimum value was 20.3. What it has predicted 28.433 and it has predicted 20.3. So that is like really close. If I just talk about the actual value was 35.9, but my model has predicted 35.16. And over here, the minimum value was 27.5 and it has predicted 27.2. So over here, I'm comparing it. All right. Similarly, you can use random forest also, or linear regression, anything. RF, that is going to be random forest regression. And the same thing we'll be going to use over here. That is RF dot fit X train comma Y train. And RF dot predict X test. Now we have to compare which model is performing good. Just see, RF is not defined. Okay. So just see, it has predicted 28.34. And what it has predicted? This model has predicted 28.43. Okay, so we have to compare this thing, which value is close. Now let us just try this linear regression model. I think it will not going to do that much good. So just see, it has even predicted almost the same. Let's just compare the last one. That is 29.1 and 22.5. So it has predicted 27.83 and 22.12. So this value is not that much accurate. But if I just compare random forest, it has given 29.53 and actually it was 29.1. And if I just compare this model now, it has given 29.48. So can I say random forest value is little bit close? Or no, this extra tree classifier, this one that we have used. So this is closed. Raja Prabhu, just do one thing. In the first day, LetsUpgrade team has a little bit of interaction with all of you. Over there, they have mentioned that there is a WhatsApp channel or something. What kind of a course you basically want, or anything that you want from the LetsUpgrade end, you can simply drop your message over there for the recommendation purpose. If they'll be agree, we'll be going to come up with any kind of a bootcamp or any kind of a session that you guys are comfortable about, like deep learning, natural language processing, or anything. Okay. All right, guys. Now, do you guys have any kind of a doubt till now? Have you guys really enjoyed the session or not? Was you able to learn something new today? Have you learned something new? What do you think, guys? Have you learned something new today? Yeah, guys, welcome. So for sure, I'll be going to share this notebook with all of you so you guys can practice even the data set over here. Over here, I have mentioned it. Just see. Over here, I have assigned it by using train test split, X new and Y I have basically mentioned. So I have mentioned it over here. Over here, we have splitted it. For sure, I'll be going to upload it. Deepansh, don't worry about it. Okay, guys. So I can basically say this is it for today's session. I hope you guys have really enjoyed. This file and data set I'll be going to share. For sure, I'll be going to share. Don't worry. Don't worry, guys. You don't have to spam it. I'll be going to share it. Yeah, yesterday notebook I'll be even going to share. Don't worry. Okay, guys. So, yeah. Okay, guys. Then this is it for today's session. Bye, each and everyone. And good night, guys. Okay. Okay, what you are saying?